All
Welcome
right.
to You Can't Make This Shit Up. I'm Joel Hoxley. This is David Washington, and we're here at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society.
Yes, we are.
You need to come out here. You need to enjoy their food. I mean, it is a gorgeous place. It's a facility looks really nice, and it's up to you if you want a good meal to come out here. But enough of that. I mean, we have a show called You Can't Make This Shit Up. So let's get started, David.
Let's jump in. Okay, so we're going to wrap up our our 2023 Florida legislative session. This is part two. There are still a couple of bills that are out there. I believe this week, 26 of the bills that were passed in this past session were presented to Governor DeSantis for his signature to veto or to sign into law. One of my favorites has already been signed into law and into effect is the permitless, licenseless list, less of everything except for open carry.
Yeah,
but it's out there. It's
you
law
know,
now.
David. But you know, David. This is not. This is not anything that will affect. When you look
Right.
at this, it doesn't really affect anything. It just allows people the flexibility to transport weapons, to be able to carry a weapon. They still have to identify themselves. They still, there's still rules.
Mhm.
So as long as there's still rules, I don't think we get the wild west like you thought. I mean, because if now open carry, oh, now you're talking a whole
That's a
different story
possibility.
because, you know, we go back to the old days and we'll see who draws quicker. I mean,
Right.
that let's see
That'll be
which gun, which handgun shoots faster.
exactly. That'll be in the 2024 session because gun advocacy, gun proponents have said that they want to go further than just what this legislation has offered.
Yeah,
They want
this
open
legislation, as far as I look at it, this legislation doesn't go far enough for them because basically they want it to be the Constitution says you have the right. The state shouldn't have anything to say about it, and everybody should be able to do whatever they want. I totally think that that's dangerous because we
Right.
do have people that psychologically need to be restricted. There are bills out there that make me really upset because basically they go so deep into the weeds that, you know, veterans would be denied owning a weapon to defend themselves because they see a psychologist.
Mhm.
Just seeing it's like, look, I see a psychologist because I was in a war zone.
Right.
I it's really for me it's a really good conversation with somebody who's not my wife, not my kids, but I'm not crazy. I'm not insane.
Okay.
I mean, you with me all the time, so you probably say that differently. But you know, some people go too far, is what I'm saying. I think this bill, if you really look at it, David, it sounds crazy, but it's still within parameters. I mean, there's still background checks. There's still things going on. There's
Well,
still background checks. We're always going to have background checks.
okay.
So when you go to buy the weapon,
Right.
none of that's changed. Unless I buy a weapon from you, and then that's a whole different thing.
Right.
Because then that's what Democrats hate.
Right.
Because if I sell you a gun right now, there's a transaction, but there's no background check because I don't have to fit the bill for a background check. I'm just a citizen of Florida.
Exactly. I still stand by my wild west comment. And again, and I want to preface the rest of the conversation with elections have consequences, and this is the result of Republicans doing what they need to do to get their voters to vote in a supermajority with a Republican governor and get their agenda done, get the governor's agenda done.
So David, talking to your Democrat, your Democratic, your liberals, your progressives, whatever we want to call them today.
Yeah.
When you think about this, in the last election, the governor did not win by a small majority, but by a small majority.
Correct.
Like that's been our biggest problem. We've had elections that have been so close that we're always counting down to the wire. Especially you, David. I mean,
Oh yeah,
you like to keep them close.
I love the excitement.
But how many bills has the governor actually vetoed?
I know of one, and I can't remember which one that was. It was so.
So somebody got something.
Stick.
So somebody got something all the way through that he finally decided that what wasn't. Listen, they keep saying this was DeSantis' agenda. You know, maybe it is, but really, this is a Republican agenda, and the governor is in agreement.
Yes.
I can disagree with certain legislation, but you know what? I'm a minority in a majority party. So right now, the party elite are the ones that are like diehard Trumpers. So you go to these meetings and they put an effort to actually take over our Rex. So that's a whole different story.
Well, let's look at some of this legislation. Let's look at Senate Bill 102. And this bill prevents local jurisdictions from having, what is it, rent stabilization or rent control ordinances. And this is in reaction to Orange County, Florida, passing an ordinance that will establish rent stabilization.
So again, David, this is I totally leave my party here. I think if Orange County wants to spend money on lawsuits and all this other stuff and progress the way they do, let them do it. Let them go bankrupt. Let the taxpayers get mad at the Democrats. This is where I'm a Republican, and local government's the most important thing to me.
Right.
And if your local government wants to F up, screw up, whatever you want to call it, let them do it.
Right.
Because this ordinance alone didn't pass muster with the courts.
In what way?
Because it was considered unconstitutional by the Florida Supreme Court.
You're right.
So I'm just saying,
it wasn't going to.
Now, what was that? They put an ordinance into effect. They then have to put it before the courts, and the courts then send it back. How much money did Orange County have to spend?
Right.
I mean, they weren't reimbursed because they lost.
And like you said, the outcome was predetermined because it was found unconstitutional by the Florida courts, and that it contradicted state law.
Well, even when I look at this, even in the consultant that actually put forth the research said that this had flaws. So again, I'm disappointed that Republicans would pass a bill to restrict local government from trying to do what they think is right.
Right.
But I also think that, messing with the markets in your county or your city, is dangerous. So
I'm disappointed, like you said, that local governments are preempted by the state for making local decisions that affect the everyday kitchen table issues of their constituents. I'm disappointed, but that is Florida. That is the law, and you work within those.
See, David, this is where
laws.
this is
let
where
me finish. Let me finish. So I agree with you on that. I like the idea of rent stabilization. I like it in general. However, specifically, the research that I've done, it doesn't work. And this was more performative than anything else. And knowing that one research that I've done in as far as rent stabilization bills or ordinances or rent control, whatever you want to call it, it just doesn't work. And also the fact that it is preempted, the ordinance was preempted by state law. This was it was an exercise in futility.
See, David, you are going to lose your liberal card.
I know.
I mean, because
Should I
they
get it
want
out, they put it on the
the
table.
federal government. They'd like the federal government to be running our local. You know, that's extreme, but
Yeah,
you know, some days I think it's really big government versus small government, and this to me is where Republicans become hypocritical.
okay.
And I don't want to be
Right,
hypocritical.
I see that.
Because I want to stand by my laurels, and my laurels say, look, local government is the most important government. They're the ones who, you know, you pay taxes to make sure your trash is picked up, that you have clean water. We're going to be talking. We've talked about water in Winter Springs,
Right.
right? We have the state and the county doing audits of the county. That's what they're
right.
supposed to do.
That's
They get into their business as oversight. Don't get in their business by saying, okay, we don't want you to, you know, come up with any of these ideas.
right.
So, I mean, I understand why they did it. I'm just disappointed that they went down this road.
Agreed. I think we can agree with that. The outcome was expected, and now the Republicans with this legislation has probably put the one of the final nails in the coffin when it comes to rent stabilization, rent control.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another bill,
The
Senate bill. I'm jumping.
The predatory
I was going to jump to
scam act, or which one?
I was going to. We could do that since
No,
it's along the same lines.
Whichever.
But wait, okay. I want to do Senate Bill 1718.
Okay. No, that.
And-
Listen, David, I am with you on this because this is fun. Like,
and-
I can't wait till they get David.
yes,
Smith,
because
I'm going to
was
ask him.
hoping to see.
I'm going to
him
ask
today.
him the same questions. We just have to. We have to do Thursdays. So here's the thing. I have to work really hard to get David here, only because we do this on Thursday,
Right.
and Thursday is his constituent services day.
Well, why don't we like pre-record it on another
so,
day?
So I've offered that, and
Yeah.
so, but we're gonna have David. He's already
Excellent.
said he's going to be
David
here.
Smith, representative.
David
Smith,
my representative,
Castleberry.
David Smith. He's Winter Springs, Castleberry, Seminole County.
What house district is he?
Now you just.
I'm sorry.
I just brain farted because it's my district.
Producer John, what house district? Can you look it
Listen,
up?
you know why?
David Smith.
You know why? David has me working so hard in
Yes.
Orange County. I've never truly transitioned back to my county.
David Smith, which house district? Here in
It'll only take a minute.
that's right.
But
So-
yeah, I mean, he just did an update on Channel 13. I
Okay.
saw his tweet on that. So
Excellent.
he was with you can say her name better than I can.
Yibeth,
Yeah, Beth.
District 38,
38.
House District 38, David Smith.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to continue, David. I'm going to continue to try to get Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Mhm.
I'm going to. I haven't started, but I want us to have an effort to get Anna Escamani. I want to have more of the liberals, more of the progressives come on the show, so that we can understand what's going on. What are you doing to get over this minority problem that we have? What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing other than? I mean, we just had Pulse. We had all kinds of ceremony. We had all kinds of. These people are there. But why aren't they here talking to our audience, which is a local audience?
Mhm.
Why? I just don't get it. But that's something we're going to work on.
Yes. I have an interesting story to share with you all later, off record, off camera.
So
Quite
17,
interesting.
So 17,
1718. That one-
Terrorize innocent immigrants and tank the economy act.
So that was the commentary. That's Thomas Kennedy's commentary there. But and I bring this one up in particular because for the past week or so, there has been some pushback from both the liberal and conservative side about this particular bill, where it's pretty much saying to the migrant community, hey, if you're going to work in Florida, there's going to be more requirements for the businesses to allow you to work in Florida, and we're going to keep a closer eye on you. And from the footage that I've seen on television, that I've listened to on podcasts, some of these migrant undocumented workers have decided that Florida is not the best place to work or live. And they're leaving. They're leaving the housing market, construction. They're leaving the agriculture market. Fields are not being tended to. Construction sites, buildings are not being built. Housing is being neglected.
So
and
David,
there's
David, that's economics. That's economics. I mean, our president.
It was economics that
Our
wasn't
president
anticipated.
our president has pushed everything up so high. It's a lot of what you just said is all economic. And you don't understand the economy, but this bill just simply says transporting an immigrant is a third-degree felony.
It's more than that.
That it freaks you out because you're taking illegals and transporting them. That's a different story. I mean,
there's businesses that are taking, undocumented migrant workers.
Listen, we are in agriculture
from one place to another, from a pickup location to the field and then back.
David, I agree.
And it's going to affect their business.
Look, I agree. One of the things that I think people forget about Florida is we are an agriculture state. Yes, we have all this tourism. Yes, we have resources that other states don't because we have really good entertainment. We have a very good base of people coming and vacationing here.
Sure.
But if they really want to, the Democrats are always yelling that the sugar industry has all this power. Well, guess what? The sugar industry just lost all these immigrant workers too. So this is a bill that simply stands up and says, secure our borders, right? I want them to come in on a visa that says, I'm going to work on the agriculture. I'm going to work at a vineyard. I'm going to work
so you cripple your own business. You cripple your own supporters, your own donors.
No, David,
in order to send a message to DC.
David, I've worked in the constituent services of a congressman. There are certain visas that are easier to get than others. A business can simply, a big business especially, can simply get a large group, make sure their backgrounds are checked, and get them visas. Just don't overstay the visa, right?
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. That's what happens is the agriculture people that had come in have stayed. 11 million, over 11 million.
Sure.
And I mean, this is some of these people are paying taxes, and we're supposed to. Oh, we.
So what do you do about the situation right now where, again, fields are not being tended to, beds are not being made, you're not getting served, and the same constituents in Sarasota, in Naples, and in Immokalee, in those areas, farmers are saying, wait a second,
fix the economy.
This is crippling our business.
Let's fix the economy.
Fix the economy?
Yeah, let's fix the economy. Let's make things a little cheaper. Let's make things get down back to normal so that we can open our borders.
We've got record unemployment. The economy is.
Wait a minute.
The GDP
record
is doing
unemployment.
well.
You said record unemployment.
Yes,
according to the president, there's nobody out of work.
According to our show last week, we went through the Biden, numbers.
Yeah, you said that more people are employed, so
there's record unemployment.
Record unemployment no, I don't think so.
The economy is clipping at a
You just said that people are.
You just said that just announced that they will not raise interest rates at this time. That was met with,
That's okay.
some
They've already
relief by the
raised them
markets.
high enough to make
They may
people
raise
scared.
them a little bit, but inflation is in check.
David, we all know now. See, this is where people go, "Oh, are you really that smart?" Look, economics is really basic. If you really take the time to know what your micro and macro economics are, but unemployment at where it's at right now is full employment, which means it has an opposite effect. If you had every single person employed, it actually has a negative effect on the economy because
Right.
it abandons fields. It abandons the jobs that are least desirable. And you know what you just mentioned? The least desirable jobs are not being filled. That's because you have your record economy. So you have all these people working 3-4 jobs. Hey, there's no jobs. They're all filled, right? No, they're not. The jobs that need to be filled are not filled.
Come on, Joe.
No, that's it.
You and I will never work in the field unless there was some
No.
kind of apocalyptic event that occurs here
I'm
in
not walking.
America.
That's not the job. That's not the job I signed up for. I'm 55 years old. I'm not picking any
Sugarcane.
mangoes or I mean, even though you get a stick for the mangoes, I mean, it's still too much work.
I was just saying that, Republican representatives in South Florida, Southwest Florida, had to answer to their constituents why people are leaving the area, leaving the construction industry, leaving the agriculture industry. What relief is this going to do for their pocketbook? What relief will this be for their local economy?
So they'll get reelected and we'll say, hey, guess what? I guess it really didn't matter because the Democrats didn't show up. So I'm just saying, David, we can talk about this all day.
Consequences.
It's the
consequences
same.
again. Elections had consequences.
I think the bill, if you take it for the way it's written, it's a good bill. I do see your concerns.
Yeah, financially, I'm looking at it financially, humanitarianly. There's issues that I can go on and on about. However, I'm looking at the pocketbook again. That a lot of conservatives always talk about. Big government telling business what to do, and this again is
saying
government coming in and saying, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it this way.
This is
so
saying
that we can send a message to
David,
DC.
David,
and this is what the Republicans said. This is we're just trying to scare people. We're just sending out a message. This is their own words. We're just sending a message. Okay, you can send a message by having a press conference, not by passing legislation that will hurt families, that will hurt individuals, that will hurt businesses. I just don't.
A third-degree felony if you're transporting.
It's
a third-degree felony if you're transporting an illegals. That's what the bill says. I mean, it's just
no, it's more than that.
Law enforcement.
It's more than that.
It's law enforcement.
It's more than that.
This is DeSantis can fly any illegal out of the state, but you can't travel. You can't travel with an illegal.
The legislature made that legal.
You
made that legal after he was threatened with lawsuits. But go ahead,
David. He
did make it legal. They did make it legal.
You didn't even let me make fun. You didn't even make. See, this is the thing. I was just about to piss off all the Republicans by saying,
"Okay, hand over your Republican card."
By saying something funny, and it's like, listen, they sign a law that says DeSantis can go send anybody out of state, but then they say you can't travel any illegals. It's a third-degree felony. So this is what this show is called. You can't make this shit up. So David, sometimes you might want to stop cutting me off.
Should we trade our cards to one another?
When we come to the show, we probably should. But David, it's hypocrisy. I love hypocrisy. And even if it's on my own party, it's fun. It's fun to see these things because it's up to you, David Smith. It's up to you, Governor DeSantis, to tell us why there are two different standards, right? So no, David, this bill I support it. You don't support it. I don't see. I see it does affect us economically, but
Yeah.
I don't think it. I think that if you look at the economy and you look at the unemployment rate, you would see that's the same thing that you're blaming this bill for. And I don't think this bill.
DeSantis, I mean, just one added note, DeSantis has said that, you know, the economy is better here in Florida because at one point data point he likes to state is that unemployment here in Florida is lower than the national unemployment rate. So it's kind of like,
Again, David, what did I say? Let the number, the numbers should be about 5.5 to, or else you get into full employment. When you get into full employment, it's a bad thing. You would think it would be a great thing. So I'm sitting in an economics class going, this should be a great thing, full employment. And then you learn that it actually is a detriment.
it is.
It's like, you should be about 5.5%. And I'm like, really? That seems like a lot of people. That's a lot of people out of work.
And when you do understand economics and peel back the layers, you know, the real unemployment rate is actually higher. So we're not really at full employment, but you do make a very good point.
So
one more bill.
Okay, I love it. I love it. We're hitting a stride right now. I like it.
I was going to talk about the bill allowing DeSantis to, you know, travel without disclosing his travels. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
That's not worth it. Listen,
What about?
Listen, we're doing everything we can to keep our governor, even though he wants to run for president. I
He
mean,
is running
listen,
for president.
this, I know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I said we're doing everything in our power to keep our governor as he runs for president. We've eliminated
okay.
if he gets the nomination, we've eliminated the fact that if he loses to Biden or whoever you guys have, that he will ultimately be able to come back to work. We've done that, right?
Yeah.
And now we've also said, look, it's getting to be monotonous. There's a lot of travel for our governor. So they want to just kind of close up the reporting. We've also made the reporting easier for those poor, unfortunate treasurers on these. Listen, how many reports you need to give?
You.
So now you get a reprieve. You don't have as many reports.
Ooh, amen to that.
So everything is, listen, if you guys were in charge, you'd do the same thing.
No, personally, as far as the campaign reporting, I mean, it's a very important tool for strategy making as far as the frequency of the campaign finance reporting.
For us.
So, yes, for us. I mean, it's part of our strategy.
But the Democrats and the Republicans like this. It was
yeah.
a lot of bipartisanship because nobody wants you to do what you're doing, David. They don't want you to scrutinize who's giving.
However,
Travis Stock gave to so-and-so, and Travis Stock is the evil empire. And then you now know that you got a tool to motivate your people. Now it's a lot harder to see that.
Exactly. And, you know, we'll pivot as usual. And again, the usual, you know, players in this field, campaign consultants and managers, we know how they operate. We know their thinking. And so there's certain assumptions that could be made to fill in the gaps between actual reporting periods.
See, David, you just don't realize it. I mean, you've been doing this too long. It's signs. The more signs you have out, the more people know your name. And let's see. Hey, David, let's put a big sign over here. David, let's put a sign here. Let's put a sign.
Oh, Lord. Lord.
Signs do not win elections.
That's right. Please, can we repeat that?
Signs do not win elections. They end up in the dumpster.
Yes.
Or in your garage after the election because you have no place. You just like to see your name. I'm sorry. I have to say that because I get so aggravated with some of these people.
I know.
They come in our office and they're like, I want to run for something. And the minute you start asking them real questions, you go, yeah, you just want to be on the ballot so you can see your name and you want signs.
Right. Which, in closing, is a good opportunity to plug the Leadership Academy.
Yeah, the Leadership Academy with Bring America Together again, BATA 21. I'm calling it BATA 21 more as frequently as possible because I think a lot of Democrats get nervous by that name. It sounds too much like MAGA, but we have a Leadership Academy that really dives in to how it's going to be, how that election is going to run, what to expect when the media comes and actually asks you questions, things that are going to say, hey, we have Stephanie. I can't say her last name.
Quinn.
We have Stephanie Quinn, who used to work on television, and she's going to actually be available through this Leadership Academy,
yes,
to let you know that this is what's going to happen, and this is how I can change your words. Like, you think you say the most innocent thing, and all of a sudden you're watching it and you go, I didn't say that. Well, technically you did say it because editing made it possible. So make sure you know what you're talking about, stay on point, and a lot of that stuff. And we're going to teach you that you don't need a lot of signs, but you do need name recognition. You need to get out there early.
Yes.
You need to be doing certain things. We will take you, if you want to run for any office, we will take you from beginner to expert without having to spend a lot of money on a campaign. You get to learn it first and then spend your money.
There you go.
So that's a difference between our Leadership Academy and some of these other Leadership Academies. We want you to feel when you get out of this academy that you could run for any office and you won't misspend your money. You won't lose out, and you'll have a full staff. You'll know what to expect, and there's still going to be surprises.
And that's a good point. You know what to expect because
you're going to feel like
past experience and conversations with other consultants, with past candidates and electeds. They come out of these academies and they're like, oh, wow, I wasn't taught this, or I wasn't expecting that, or this is something completely new because it was never discussed.
You're going to feel, when we do this, because we're doing it right, you're going to feel disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel like excitement when you do something right. You're going to feel these things. Right. We're not going to be afraid to let you know that, hey, this is what it's like to lose on a radio station, right? This is how you lose votes. This is how you gain votes. These are the places you need to be. You're going to feel like you've been in a campaign. And if you come out of the academy feeling great, that's what we want. If you come out feeling, worried and afraid, but you'll understand. You'll still understand. You just need a bigger team. You need a bigger team. You need to raise more money.
Exactly.
So you're going to find these things. We're going to help you know exactly how you can win this race. And it's up to you. You're only as good as your candidate.
Exactly.
That's why we want to make you a great candidate.
Awesome. Hey, that's Joel Hawksley. I'm David Washington. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. John, our producer, thank you very much. We are at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society here in Altamont Springs, Florida.
Remember, if you want to get on our social, the easiest way to find all our social is at j-washington.com. Go to j-washington.com, get on our Instagram, get on our stuff, like this show.
Comment,
send it out. Let people know we're here.